Alright, what's going on, y'all? It's Cooper here, one half of FCSN, and today I've got a mock draft for you guys. This is almost my final version. I might put out one more, but I've done a lot of research, watched a lot of tape on guys, and how they played versus certain players, certain teams. I've looked at other people's mock draft and based my opinions off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put up on the screen right now all 32 picks that I've got. In the comment section below, if you don't like the pick that I made for your team, or you think your team needs a different player or a different position, let me know. So I can take that in consideration for making my final version, and what player you would want for your team to draft if you don't agree with who I have them taking. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump straight into all 32 picks and who and why I had this team taking that person. Number one overall, I got Jameis Winston, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I almost think it's a lock at this point in time. I just think he's a fit for them. He can make it all the throws on the field, and it's pretty much unanimous at this point that he's going to be the number one overall pick. That's the franchise quarterback, as who Tampa Bay wants to go with. You never know, though, until draft day. We'll see what goes on right there. Move on to number two. This is where things start to get interesting. There's a lot of trade rumors around this spot about teams possibly wanting to trade up to get Marcus Mariota. This is a no-trade NFL mock draft, by the way, so I'm not moving anybody around. I would have the Tennessee Titans taking Marcus Mariota, but realistically, I could definitely see them moving. We're starting to hear San Diego Chargers are in the mix as of late. We'll see how that goes close to the draft day, but as of right now, I have Marcus Mariota, quarterback from Oregon, going to Tennessee. Moving on to number three, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them taking what, in my view, is the best player in this draft. And that's Leonard Williams, the defensive lineman out of USC. Very versatile guy. They've got a solid defense. Is young and starting to grow a little bit. I definitely think they'll throw him in there right away. He'll make an instant impact. Moving on to number four, Amari Cooper for Alabama. I'm going to go ahead and just get Derek Carr a number one option, a true number one wide receiver. Amari Cooper, very polished route runner, a hard worker. I could definitely see that working out. Him or Kevin White at this fourth spot. I just think they're going to go wide receiver. If Leonard Williams is off the board. So that said, that's who I have going at number four. At number five, I have the Washington Redskins getting Dante Fowler, the outside linebacker slash defensive end slash Leo, whatever you want to call it, out of Florida. With the loss of Brian Orakpo, I think he fits right into that scheme. It's got a ton of upside because he's got a little bit of poor technique at times, but not crazy, but very solid athletic ability. And he could definitely improve, and he's already going to be an instant impact in my opinion. Definitely one of the top pass rushers in this draft. Moving on to the New York Jets, I have them taking Brandon Scherff, the offensive lineman from Iowa. They added Brandon Marshall. Now I think they want to protect whoever's going to play quarterback for them. Maybe it's Geno Smith. They sounded like they had some kind of confidence in him. I've heard otherwise. Not sure what they're going to do. Maybe Marcus Mariota follows them at that sixth spot. We'll see how that goes. But as of now, I have them taking an offensive lineman if the both top two quarterbacks are off of the board. At number seven, this might surprise some people. I have the Chicago Bears taking Bud Dupree, the pass rusher out of Kentucky. He's climbing up my boards, definitely rising as of late. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from him playing his top-level competition. And he just looks good. A guy with a ton of upside, good athletic ability. I really like what I'm starting to see from him. So I have the Bears making maybe a little bit of a reach pick here, but getting a guy with a ton of upside that can improve that defense for the long run for sure. Next up, moving on number eight. Another pick that might surprise some people, but I'm starting to see some other people get this pick as well, and I really like this fit, and that would be Todd Gurley from Georgia, the running back to the Atlanta Falcons at 8. He's from Georgia, so only like an hour away from Atlanta, and their running game needs some help. I mean, the Falcons have a lot of needs, but I think Todd Gurley, he's a special kind of player, can make an instant impact if he recovers well from that knee injury. I just think that fitting out really well. I think the Falcons could possibly make Todd Gurley a top 10 pick. Moving on to New York Jets, I think they need help on the offensive line, or New York Giants, excuse me. I think they need help on that offensive line. I have them going with Andrews Pete, the offensive lineman at the Stanford. Like what I see from him. He's a big guy, good size, going to protect Eli Manning. And give him some more time to throw. A lot of people say maybe they'll go wide receiver. I could see it. But I mean, I think you got to protect your quarterback first and foremost, and then maybe there's a deep wide receiver draft. You definitely get one in the second round, in my opinion. So I have him going offensive line here. Move on, number 10, Kevin White. I have him going to St. Louis, the wide receiver out of West Virginia. He's a big-time player, maybe the best wide receiver in this draft in some people's opinions. I think he's up there. There's a lot of room for debate there. But definitely a high-value pick at this point in time. Going to give Nick Foles a big-time target to throw to at this point. Definitely like him in that fit right there, giving them another wide receiver, another offensive weapon in St. Louis. Moving on to number 11, I think they need some help in their secondary. I have them going with Trey Waynes, the cornerback out of Michigan State. Pretty much across the board, everybody's number one defensive back. I have him falling just outside the top 10 and going to the Minnesota Vikings. Definitely, I'm not as high on him as other people are, but I definitely think he's going to be a good corner in the league. Could be a good fit in Minnesota. Moving on to number 12, the Cleveland Browns, a team that's also been in some trade talks. But as I said, no trade draft at number 12. I have them getting Devontae Parker, the wide receiver out of Louisville. I think they need some help. They lost Josh Gordon. Who knows what's going on with him? They didn't lose him, sorry, but they just don't know what's going on with that situation. I haven't looked too much into it. I just know he's in some trouble. Devontae Parker, almost a similar player in a way. He's got to work on his route running. It's not bad, but he could definitely be a little bit more polished, a little bit more fluid with the route running. But a crazy athlete, goes up and attacks the football. He's got good size. I think it's a good fit for him in Cleveland at number 12. Whoever the quarterback's going to be, give him number 1 option. Moving on to number 13, I have him falling a little bit, but I have Vic Beasley, the defensive lineman, Leo, outside linebacker, pass rusher, whatever you want to call it, out of Clemson. I'm really big on this guy. I could definitely see him going in the top 10, top 5 maybe, depending on who goes where. But in the draft that I have, the way it was set up, I had him falling to 13. Definitely a steal for the New Orleans Saints. I'm very high on Vic Beasley. He might be my favorite pass rusher in this draft, but just the way I had it going, I just think he goes here to the New Orleans Saints. Not a big guy, a big impact type of guy. Could definitely see him being terrorizing quarterbacks for years to come. Move on to number 14, I have the Miami Dolphins going cornerback. They're getting a little bit older at the position. Jalen Collins out of LSU. A crazy athlete, got a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to get better, but he's got all the tools. Could definitely see him being a good cornerback in the NFL. Solid value pick, fit the team need at number 14 for the Miami Dolphins. Moving on to number 15, I've got Danny Shelton, nose tackle out of Washington, going to San Francisco 49ers. I mean, this is right here is just a value pick. I mean, a lot of people don't have him falling even this far to 15, so this is almost like a steal for the 49ers. Maybe not necessarily need, but the best player on the board or one of them at this point in time. Danny Shelton, definitely a guy that's going to stuff the middle, help you out in the run game. I definitely that's going to help them out a lot. A good pick here. Now I have back-to-back guys from Washington. I have Marcus Peters, the cornerback coming out of Houston. I think Houston needs a quarterback or a DB to help out that secondary behind their front seven, which is pretty solid. Marcus Peters, a little bit of offense off the field problems, but the talent is there. It's almost undeniable. He may be the number 1 corner in this draft if he didn't have those off the field issues, but I think people think he's on the right path at this point in time, and I have him going to Houston at 16. Moving on to 17, I have the San Diego Chargers with the loss of Ryan Matthews, taking Melvin Gordon, running back up of Wisconsin. Some people have him rated higher than Todd Gurley. In my opinion, they're both spectacular running backs, 2 of the best we've seen come out in a while. And I think Melvin Gordon maybe – I think Todd Gurley goes higher because he's more of a workload type of guy, a big guy. He had some injury problems. Melvin Gordon carried the load, but in this day and age, the running backs that have been successful, the running backs have been really good, is the Marshawn Lynch type. That's more of Todd Gurley. Melvin Gordon, more like a Sean McCoy, Jamal Charles type of back. Still a high-value pick here for San Diego Chargers, getting a great player to help out that offense, and Melvin Gordon. But we'll see what San Diego does, though, because they are rumored to possibly trying out to trade up to number 2 to take Marcus Mariota because they worked him out this past week. So we'll definitely stay tuned for that. Moving on to number 18, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, the loss of their center, taking Cam Irving from Florida State. How many times do you see a guy change positions midway through the season and boost his draft stock, possibly from like a 3rd round pick because he was not playing well at left tackle at times, and then move over to center and move himself maybe into the top of the 1st round? That was just crazy. I definitely see him going here and being a good fit to that Kansas City Chiefs offense. Moving on to Cleveland, I have them going defense here with Malcolm Brown, defensive tackle from Texas. I really like what I see from this guy. He's going to help out your defense right away. Versatile guy on the inside, can move him around a little bit, get in the backfield. Pretty solid athlete. I really like Malcolm Brown out of Texas, and I think Cleveland gets a good guy for their defense. At number 19, move on to 20. I was surprised. It was pretty unanimous here. The Philadelphia Eagles going Landon Collins, the safety out of Alabama. I'm really high on Landon Collins. I had one of them on my team. He's a really good guy, rangy safety, moves sideline to sideline, can play up in the box. Definitely a good guy in run support. Really like Landon Collins. Good fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. Good pick overall. Move on to number 21. I had this guy slipping. That's Randy Gregory, who some consider even the best pass rusher in the class. I think he's definitely top 5. He had that failed drug test at the combine. I think he might possibly slip from that. I'm not too worried about it, but definitely a good fit for the Cincinnati Bengals at number 21. Randy Gregory, that's the outside linebacker, pass rusher out of Nebraska. Moving on, number 22, I've got Kevin Johnson going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a cornerback out of Wake Forest. I think they need help in their secondary. He's definitely been tested by some good wide receivers in the ACC. You got a ton of guys he's played up against when you look at some of the teams that they play: Florida State, Clemson, Sammy Watkins, Kelvin Benjamin, Rashad Green, playing against those guys every year, and he held his own. Definitely think that's a high value pick at 22. Move on to 23. I have the Detroit Lions trying to replace some of those guys on the defensive line, losing Fairley and Sue. I have him going with a defensive tackle out of Florida State in Eddie Goldman. Like Eddie Goldman, inconsistent at times, but the talent is definitely there. I think his motor's pretty solid. It could definitely get better to help him be a little bit more consistent. So if they're able to get him going, he could definitely be a surprise pick and a surprise impact player here at 23. At 24, I had this guy falling a little bit as well, and that is the pass rusher out of Missouri, Shane Roy, going to the Arizona Cardinals. They've lost some linebackers, so I definitely think they need to fill there. He could definitely fit into the outside linebacker role, rush the passer. I'm not super high on Shane Ray. I think he has some flaws, but I think if you put him in the right system, surround some good players, like Arizona has a good defense, you have some good players around him, he could definitely be a good impact and make some plays if you have a good defense. But if you're a bad team, I don't think you need to reach on Shane Ray. Moving on to 25 with Carolina, I think you got to protect Cam Newton. I think they go Lael Collins, the offensive lineman out of LSU. You see what he did against Dante Fowler. You just see a bunch of pass rushers he played up against. Very impressive guy. Good size. I just think he fits overall with what they need to go with and protect Cam Newton. I like the pick there of Lael Collins at 25. Moving on to 26, the Baltimore Ravens. They desperately need some help in their secondary. A lot of guys have them taking a wide receiver. I could definitely see it. Second round, because as I said earlier, a lot of receivers in this draft. A lot of room to wait. Go ahead and address your biggest needs first. I think they need some help in their secondary. I have them taking Byron Jones, cornerback out of UConn. Solid guy, a little bit underrated. I definitely think he can make an impact. Look out for that. Move on to 27. I have back-to-back cornerbacks. I think the Cowboys need some help in their secondary to improve that defense. I have him going Ronald Darby, cornerback out of Florida State. Very, very, very athletic guy. Definitely needs some work on his technique, but if you work with him, that athletic ability will make up for itself and could definitely be possibly one of the highest upsides out of all these DBs in the draft. Coming at number 28, we got DJ Humphries, offensive lineman out of Florida, going to Denver. Got to protect Peyton Manning or whoever the future quarterback will be after this year, possibly. He's a good guy. Play against Dante Fowler in practice and some other good guys in the SEC on that offensive line. Definitely think this is a good pick for the Denver Broncos for the future right here. Now we got back-to-back offensive linemen. I have Indianapolis. Taking Eric Flowers, offensive lineman out of Miami. He looked very good against some people. He played against Randy Gregory, and they kind of went back and forth. He struggled to block him at times, and then he did great, and Randy Gregory, struggled to get anything going. And then he had some other good matchups. He looked pretty impressive. And you got to protect Andrew Luck because at times that offensive line was not very good at all. So I definitely see that's a good fit. Moving on to number 30, the Green Bay Packers. Lost A.J. Hawk. I have him going linebacker. A lot of people have him going cornerback. But the way my draft is set up, most of the good cornerbacks are gone by this point. And so I have them going Denzel Perryman, linebacker out of Miami to fill that void. Really high on this guy. Maybe not the quickest guy side to side, but definitely in that defense could make an impact right away and help them become a more balanced team. Moving on to 31, the New Orleans Saints. I have them going wide receiver. They need some kind of playmaker. They lost Kenny Stills going to the Miami Dolphins, and they lost Jimmy Graham to Seattle Seahawks. I have them taking Dorial Green-Beckham, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Yeah, he's got the off-the-field problem. That's why I haven't fallen this far. If it wasn't for that, his talent in itself would make him one of these top 15, top 20 picks. I have him going 31. 32, the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots to wrap this whole thing up. I got him taking Eric Armstead, defensive tackle, defensive lineman out of Oregon. They replaced that void by Vince Wilfork. By no means is he that kind of player, but he's a guy you can move around on your defensive line and make some plays for you. So that wraps up, ladies and gentlemen, my mock draft. I know it was a lot, but go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you thought of it. If you didn't like my pick, let me know who would you pick at that point. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff down in the description below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, comment and subscribe if you're not already. And this is Cooper signing out.